Some content on this show could be considered offensive or graphic in nature. The views and opinions expressed on the On Scene podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organizations, sponsors, or third parties. The content is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. On Scene Podcast, Star Academy, and their staff or affiliates are not responsible for the actions of any person who uses information from this show in their medical practice or decision-making. Listeners are encouraged to use their own discretion and conduct further research before making any decisions based on the information presented. In other words, don't be a dummy. Now, let's start the show.
Hey, welcome back to On Scene, the First Responder Podcast. We're going to start this one a little bit different. I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So the question is, for anybody listening, is do you think that there is an issue or a crisis with mental health within first responder, EMS, and police community?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, I agree. PTSD is real.
Yes.
Stress injuries are real, as we learned to call them today.
Yeah.
Stress injuries. So let's go ahead and get on with it. I'm George. We've got Matt.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah. John is here as often as he can be. Glad to have you back on here, John. And
good to be here.
Yep. Matt's going to introduce our guest today.
Yeah, so today we had the honor and privilege of these two individuals joining us here. We got Steve McCormick and Elaine Cruz. They come over as part of the Appalachian Initiative for Mindfulness, and they taught a class to us and the students today about mindfulness for EMS professionals. Would you guys like to speak about that a little bit?
Sure. Introduce yourself.
Tell us who you are, some of your background, and then let's talk about what we did today.
Oh, I'll start. I'm Steve McCormick. I'm a 21-year veteran of the Huntington Fire Department. I love my job. I've been in mindfulness, involved in mindfulness since 2015. Over the past couple years, I became a certified mindfulness coach along with Elaine through the Richard Gorling and the Mindful Badge. And probably in the past year or year and a half, we've been going around our great state teaching mindfulness skills to first responders.
So what does it mean for those listening that don't know? What would you say it means to be mindful, or what is mindfulness?
So mindfulness, or to be mindful, is in short paying attention on purpose.
Okay.
To things that are going on right now, and not to in a non-judgmental way.
Okay. All right. So how important is what you're teaching, do you think, to EMS, fire, and first responders?
It's really important.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Elaine, give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah.
And then.
So I'm a mindfulness coach and a pharmacist. I came to mindfulness in 2019 when I took a mindfulness-based stress reduction course, and really noticed after about 4 weeks of doing the practices that I was able to look around in a very difficult meeting that I was in and just feel my feet on the floor and not have to engage emotionally with what was going on because it really didn't involve me. And after that, I was really sold on these practices and went on and became a coach in the cohort with Steve. While we were at Canaan Valley, I met a girl named Renee Stevenson, who is a police officer in Canada. She introduced me to a program run by Vancouver Island University in Canada, and I went to BC, and I was part of that program. And now when I was there, I realized that there were a lot of tools that I learned that we're not using here, and so I'm bringing them back here to my business, which is called Unearthing Your Greatness.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. John.
Oh, the class today and I'm glad you reminded me that it was the. I've taken a lot of classes over 34 years in the business, and I have dreaded every single one of them on some level.
Was you dreading this one?
I didn't know what to expect, but I got to say this was probably the best class that I didn't know that I needed what they were teaching. I didn't even know I was open to it, and when it began to unfold, when they started showing the techniques, I wasn't sure because I am the old school. And we got a certain mindset that we have to get away from. And so I appreciated the passion that they had and the way that they delivered the techniques and the material was from a personal place. And I didn't feel like I was being taught as much as I felt like I was, like somebody was sharing a secret with me.
Mm-hmm.
And,
That's why-
and it was so awesome.
That's why we use the term like presenting and not necessarily teaching.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like sharing information that we've gained, and we understand. We're in the mindset of understanding that in the responder community, we're going to suffer occupational stress and trauma, and we know through lots and lots of research that's out there that practicing mindfulness can help us mitigate that occupational stress and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to note that sometimes all it is maybe just acknowledging what's going on, acknowledging what's going on.
Well, and there was a lot of talk in class today about how we're not meant to see the things that we see. You threw out some numbers earlier about how many times the average person goes through a traumatic event. What was it?
So several years ago, there was numbers put out, and don't quote me on these numbers or on the year, but that the average person witnessed 2 traumatic events in their lifetime. Actually, witnessed 2 traumatic events in their lifetime. Paid firefighters witness 12 to 14 on average per year, and I would assume that those numbers are the same, if not more, for EMS and police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's foolish to think that we wouldn't have those occupational injuries because of that. And I think one of you all said just a little bit earlier, years and years ago, it was more suck it up, buttercup,
Well, that
keep
was
your
the
nose to the
mentality.
grindstone. Let's keep on doing this. And now in 2025, we understand that, hey, there's value in wellness, in your whole body wellness. In order for me to do my job as a captain on the rig, I'm better off with mindfulness because I can show up in that moment. I can be a better line officer when I show up in that moment.
Well, and like George said in his intro, wanted to ask me about the mental health crisis. The first step to fixing any problem is acknowledging that we have a problem. And I think we have finally, at least as a state in West Virginia, have at least acknowledged that problem. So the next step is what you guys are doing. What are we going to do about that problem? And how does, we were having discussion earlier, about suicide rates in EMS, and fire professionals have skyrocketed since COVID, especially. Mm-hmm. And I've had a few that I knew personally, and that's what hit home for us, and or for me rather. And while sitting through class, I was trying to figure out, why no one told me this before. If I had these skills before, my personal mental health may be better for it. So I think moving forward, the common sense thing to do would be to make sure we raise this awareness and make sure we're getting these skills out there to the new guys. We had a conversation about you were talking about the rookies and our new EMT students, and somebody even made the comment earlier that should be day one. That should be what we talk about with our new EMT students.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And I like what you said with raising awareness, because that's a lot of what we talked about, being self-aware. of what's going on. So I can tell you from personal experience as someone who's got combat PTSD, and I used to get really severe panic attacks. And the way I've learned to cope with that, you guys touched on a lot. And the first thing is being aware of what's going on.
Right.
And realizing, okay, I'm really angry, but what am I angry at? And then really looking into what the actual problem is versus acting on emotion alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of us don't ever realize we have a problem until it shows its head. Like, I didn't realize that I had, all this anxiety or PTSD from, working these calls and running those hours until, honestly, it was after I'd come off the truck and I was working in an ER as a nurse. And I was sitting there one day and it just came over me. Like I had this weird anxiety just overwhelmed my whole body. And for some reason I had this feeling of dread, and I was having a panic attack is what it was. And completely unprovoked. I'd had a pretty even keel day. Nothing had happened. And, I was just sitting there charting and it just came over me. And like I had to go outside for a little bit just to reassure myself everything's okay and the sky's really not falling. And then I was like, man, what is going on? And that's when I realized I was actually having a panic attack.
Yeah, for me it was 12 years. 12 years after I came back from Iraq is when I was diagnosed PTSD. Mm-hmm. And it was just a few months before the diagnosis I realized, I'm like, hey, something's not right. And that's when I went to the VA. I was like, I'm not sure what's going on with me here. And yeah, I got a diagnosis and over 50% disability just for PTSD.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's important, it was for you when you said, hey, it was just a normal day.
Yeah.
And I think that's that cumulative occupational stress, and one day you just meet your breaking point. You said something just a second ago about we don't even realize it. We change and we don't even realize it.
We don't.
And if you look, we all know the divorce rates are high in the responder community. And the reason is because we're changing and we don't see that. One, because the group we're with is changing with us. Right. You're like, oh, I'm just being an asshole because I'm sleepy. I didn't get enough sleep last night or whatever. And sure, there's a little bit of truth to that, but also it could be the effects of this occupational stress that we're going through over and over and over again. We talked a little bit about resiliency in there in the class today, and I think that you can't talk about mindfulness without talking about resiliency. And we need as a group of leaders, we need to make sure that our young folks are learning these skills, especially right off the bat. And that they're encouraged to learn these skills,
Well,
I'll never forget the first time I trained in a class with Steve. He started describing how he behaved before he discovered mindfulness. And I was like, you just described my dad, who worked in the fire service and ran fire service extension for many years until he passed away at a young age from a heart attack that I would argue was from all the occupational stress and trauma that he had. And yeah, describe what you were like, Steve.
Oh yeah, I was short-tempered. I was, I was really short with my kids, and I hated that. I hated that with a passion. Short with my kids, short with my wife, and I know that I'm not alone, and I'm not cured by that by no means. But
Right.
I now, through practicing mindfulness and learning mindfulness, gaining those skills, I learned to acknowledge that. Once again, there's that word acknowledge. So I know, hey, when my body needs a break, when I need to rest, what I need to do to get back into my window of tolerance that we spoke of earlier.
right.
And like you all said, when you all taught the class, I was like identified with what you were saying when you're talking about being short with the kids, and I would get angry and not be mad, and
And don't
but
know
I heard
why.
that. But when you all taught the class, and I hate to say taught the class, you said
We
present. That's what you said.
facilitated
But the
the
way it
group,
is,
yeah.
but when you all did this, you talked about it being reaffirming to you all and refreshing to you all, and I believe that. So that's why I'm excited to try it. Talk to us about that a little bit, just how it.
I'll say this first. I say, I'm a professional firefighter, have been for a long time. You guys are professional EMS We're so much alike, it's not even funny. And if we walked up the street here and got a couple cops to come down here, they'd say the same thing. I think that's a good takeaway from this, is to understand, hey, we're all the same. You're not alone in this. I could talk to you about being at the kid's birthday party and one of the kids pop a balloon and you wig out and it sends you in a spiral, maybe even so much that you'd say, okay, kids, we're not staying at this skating rink. I've already met my people limit today, and now I'm on edge. I'm going to leave. And we know now, or I know now, those are effects of PTSD.
Right.
And we would be foolish to think that we don't suffer the effects of PTSD.
But until you make an acknowledgement, you don't realize what you're doing to your family.
Exactly.
You don't realize that how you're talking to your kids because you're angry. You have no idea why you're even angry. Yeah.
Matt, we've had this talk before about years and years ago where I told you I was angry with you. You remember that? We were loading in band equipment.
Yeah.
And I just flew off the handle. And then 5 seconds after it, I had to ask you, what am I mad about?
I had no clue.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I was like, what did I even do?
I was just absolutely furious, and for I don't know about 30 seconds there, and then it's almost like I blacked out. I don't even remember what was said.
Yeah,
and that's a big part of it, and that's before I ever even realized.
That was also about the time you went and got that diagnosis too. It wasn't long after that.
Yeah, well, that wasn't long after that I quit working on the truck because of the panic attacks.
Yeah.
But the diagnosis actually came later. I kind of blew that one off for some reason. But yeah, it's maybe a couple years after that.
I think from you all, it's like we understand that we really shouldn't be saying you may have this or you may deal with this. It's actually we do.
Yeah.
We do.
And the more that you can practice these skills early in your career, the better off you'll be, for sure.
Yeah, the mindfulness skills are just a tool in the toolbox.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about some of these skills that we went through in class today.
Yeah, so we learned about informal and formal mindfulness practices, and some of the informal practices that you can do are things that you're normally doing in your day. So when you're washing your hands, you can pay attention to just washing your hands, noticing what the water feels like, not doing your to-do list or thinking about what just happened, but just washing your hands. You can do that with brushing your teeth. You can do that when you're walking. I like to time my in-breath with every time I put my foot down, I take an in-breath. And that's an informal practice. And you can also do formal practices, which are sitting in meditation or walking meditation. But that's when you devote 5 to 10 minutes to your practice on a routine basis. And Steve is going to lead us through a practice right now that's an awareness practice for beginners. And I'm going to ring a bell, and that's going to signify the start of the practice. And when you hear the bell, just listen for when the sound of the bell stops and you notice the silence kind of taking over.
No.
And then the bell will signify the end of the practice too.
Okay, is this a skill like people listening or watching can join in and
Yes.
could benefit from?
For sure.
Definitely. If you're driving, maybe not.
Maybe,
Thank you.
maybe not.
Thank you.
But
Don't close
yes.
your eyes while you're driving, please.
I think you can do it while you're driving,
Just
but
keep
you
driving.
don't close your eyes.
Keep pay attention to the driving, but
Well.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do it. I'm in. Let's go.
All right.
I would like to invite you all to sit comfortably, close your eyes, or leave them slightly open in a soft gaze. Begin by listening to the sounds around you. Relax and allow your experience of the sounds to come and go. Just let them wash through you. Bring your attention to the feeling of your body. See if you can feel the earth supporting you. See if you can feel space touching you. bring your attention to the feeling of your breath, just the normal, natural breath. Whatever you feel it most, in the nostrils, the chest, or the abdomen. Find that place, bring your attention there, and just rest. You don't need to worry about what's already gone by. You don't even need to anticipate your very next breath. Recognizing that your attention is going to wander is critical to understanding meditation. Your mind will go to the past, to the future, or you might fall asleep. It's okay. Recognize that you've been gone. See if you can let go gently and bring your attention back to the breath. We let go and we begin again. We let go and we begin again. That's the actual practice. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes or lift your gaze. So, part of meditation, the practice of meditation, is also a reflection. And what we like to do after we lead meditations is a little bit of a reflection time. And what I like to do is just kind of go around the room and say one word of how you feel right now.
I'll go first.
Okay.
My word is awe.
Peace.
Aware.
Clear.
My word's grateful. I'm super grateful for this experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're grateful to have you here.
Yeah.
This is good. And those of you listening or watching, if you did the exercise and you have a word, send us an email, shoot it to us, or even give us a call. I'll post the links on here. We would like to hear, what your experience was with that. And of course, if you would like to be in contact with these guys here and maybe have this, I don't want to say training, coaching.
Yeah. So John mentioned earlier that he didn't know what he didn't know he needed, right? And all of us, you told that story about how, what was it? The police department had tried to come into, or they set up a particular class and they seen the yoga mats or whatever and just like, nope, not me, and turned around and walked out. Mm-hmm. But what I think is so important about these practices and these skills is it really helps to calm the storm. It really helps to ground you. We were talking in class how we're always for first responders, we're always up here in that fight or flight mode, mm-hmm. and we stay there until we don't and we crash. And then we're, and you mentioned, that little window in between the fight or flight versus the crash is where we need to try to center ourselves. And those skills really, I think, help me do a little bit of that today.
And that mindfulness widens the window. It makes your window bigger. Mm-hmm. So you can stay there more often.
Definitely the key takeaway from the window of tolerance is that practicing mindfulness helps grow that window. So we know that we operate in fight or flight mode a lot of times as responders, but we also know or acknowledge that when we're off duty, we don't need to operate up there at all. Or when we're back at the firehouse or back at the EMS house, we don't need to be up there. I think that's important to acknowledge that, and that those skills definitely grow that window.
And I want to say for people listening that's got that mindset that you're a guy's guy. I can tell just by looking at you, the jeans you wear, the boots you got on. And, you know, I'm a military guy, and we got that tough mentality, attitude. And the first thing I think is like, oh, meditation. Okay.
Yes.
And I know there's people out here that just heard the bell ring and heard the exercise that's, you know, yeah, I'm not going to do meditation. Look, I'm telling you from somebody who has done it before. I do self-meditation to fall asleep. And, you know, I'm a combat veteran. I'm a guy's guy. It's important to learn these skills because you have no idea how much it's going to benefit you unless you do it. And one thing about it, I used to tell my students when I taught the military program in school, is my job was to teach them how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's just the first step. You won't know how much it'll benefit you unless you come in and try it and you give it a shot. So saying that, you know, I'm a manly man, I ain't doing that kind of stuff, you're only hurting yourself by not doing it. And then even hurting your family, people you care about, by not learning these skills, practicing these skills, so you and everyone around you can have a better life.
Yeah, excuse me, the days of like crisscross applesauce, you know, tie-dye tambourines, that's still there for when you think about mindfulness. But also, you know, you're looking at elite athletes, professional football players, professional basketball players,
Navy
military.
SEALs.
Yeah, exactly.
Navy SEALs, they do this.
Yeah, they practice mindfulness daily. And I can dig the hippie stuff for sure. But it's important. I think that's a very good point you bring up. You know, we talk about using terminology that's more appealing to first responders, like tactical breathing instead of box breathing or whatever, you know, because those words do matter. But I think that it's important to know that once somebody practices these skills, they might be cool with the tie-dye and the tambourine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, they might be all right with that.
I can see so many other applications where just taking that, what I learned today, I can just see so many places in my life where I think, man, if I just had to apply that there. And I think no matter where you're at and what you're thinking, whether you're like the hippie or whatever, you know, but it also, I think it would also help with so many things, so many different facets of life. I mean, even like if you're in church, and it would help with your clarity and in understanding the word. If you're learning. If you're working at McDonald's, wherever it may be, if you can have that center and find a place to just find yourself for a moment, I think it could help in every aspect of life.
I think the biggest change for me was with my wife and my kids. I mean, and that's like to be a better fire officer, yeah, for sure. But I wanted to be a better dad, and I wanted to be a better husband. Right. And you're exactly right. You can apply this everywhere. The firehouse is a good place to apply it. Here's a good place to apply it. You know, everywhere is a good place to apply it. But to me, what I really like seeing is, or like knowing, is that it has changed. I'm a better dad, and I'm a better husband. And I'm sure there's not very many people that would say, hey, I wouldn't like to do that. You know, right. I wouldn't like to be better at being a dad or a husband or a mom or a wife, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And mindfulness is free. You don't need a gym membership or anything to practice mindfulness. We always have our breath, and we can use that as our anchor. Yeah.
It's just one of the best things we can do for ourselves and for those we love.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those we're around. Because, like, I'm with you, like you said earlier, I don't want to be an asshole.
Yeah,
right. And nobody wants to.
Yeah. Well, I do know a few people. They kind of pride themselves on it.
That's great.
But I agree with everything you guys said in class. It was, I keep calling it a class in our coaching session. Well, I have to refer to it as a class, I guess, because I learned a lot from it.
Right.
And it was a really good experience. I'll tell you, one of the things I did like, and most people won't, y'all pointed it out, is the way we had the room set up. You know, with the circle to where it's informal and it's personal, and I like that. And we had all males in there, except for one female here, and I didn't see anybody get embarrassed. Nobody was like, "Oh, don't call on me." Everybody was open. They shared their words, and we had conversations. And I think it was a great experience. And we need more of that. I really think so.
I enjoyed it. Like he said, he in the beginning, he's like, it's weird at first, but you just embrace the weird.
But for EMS, so is checking genitals. That's weird at first, but after you do it a few times, it's normal practice. It's like, okay, this is my job. This is what I do.
I don't know if it's normal practice.
And
Not everybody.
yeah, we should not be checking every patient.
look, every patient I ever had fell from a ladder.
Meditate all you want. There's still a lawsuit in there somewhere.
Well, I always get consent. Sometimes it's implied.
So, real quickly here as we wrap up, what's the one takeaway you want people to have from this?
The one takeaway from this specific podcast?
No, from
Oh,
what you guys do and mindfulness and everything.
Mindfulness works.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway I want people to understand. Mindfulness works. It's real. There's data to back it up. We as responders are what I like to consider elite athletes, and we need to treat ourselves like that.
Right.
And to be the best we can be, we need to take care of our mental health.
Well, you had several studies that was cited in the coaching session. Send me those links and we'll put a link to it in our description
we can do
too.
that.
So they'll know it's not just something you guys made up. It's something that there's actual scientific data back here to back it up.
Yeah. I think what I want the listeners to hear right now is about common humanity. And,
Yes.
when we become depressed, we tend to think it's only us and it's only happening to us, but that's not true. So
Right.
if you're needing some help, please reach out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
George,
I agree.
you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, well, my final thought is if you're listening and you're going through some stuff, or you've experienced some bad calls, or you find yourself getting angry and don't know why, or you wake up in panic attacks, or you just feel tense and worked up all the time, give us a call.
Yeah.
We want to help you with that. These guys want to help you with that, and believe me, it is 100% worth it.
Yes.
Well,
John.
we always strive to be the best there is at what we do, no matter what that may be. And from athletic participants, paying the best trainers, and getting the best coaches to have our teams win, I say if you can do this for yourself, to better yourself, if you give it a try, you may find something that changes not only your life, but those around you. And isn't that what we're trying to do in EMS as a whole?
Yeah, improve quality of life.
Let's help each other. So I've been truly blessed that I've met these two individuals here today. And from the stuff they shared with us, it will definitely make an impact in my life.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
Yeah, and I can't thank you guys enough for not only coming down and helping us learn these new skills that I'm sure at least us three are going to be using. I can tell you pretty confidently.
We're buying one of those bells. It's guaranteed. We come in for class. We're
But then
ringing the bell
we
and
kind
resting.
of put you guys on the spot, and it was very last minute inviting you on the podcast. But you're gracious enough to oblige and be here, and I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate
Kidding?
it.
We were excited. Thanks for having us.
I just really appreciate you guys being here today.
We appreciate you guys.
Yep.
And we record once a week, or we try to anyway, so we put one out once a week. So you ever want to come back on and talk, just call Matt.
Yeah,
And since
absolutely.
you're so excited about the podcast, we don't want to end it without you being able to give a shout out to anybody you want to give it to.
Mm-hmm.
So each one of you.
Your fire
I
department.
love you, Matt. I love you, Alyssa.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to say same thing. Love you, Kelly, Evan, and Nora. Love you guys.
Awesome.
We should end with the bell.
Oh,
You should end with the
totally
bell.
Yeah,
should.
I love
Usually I end with a catchphrase, which is kind of stupid, but I like it. Let's do the bell.
Do you have a catchphrase? I want to know what it is.
So I am the world's best ambulance driver, or the world's okayest ambulance driver, and that's a term that's used to describe an EMT, a paramedic, MCCP, or an RN that works on an ambulance. We're all ambulance drivers, so I always tell everybody to drive safe.
Yeah.
But I just said it. Y'all drive safe. Till next time, thanks for listening on Singing Podcast. Y'all take care.